All right. Hey there. Good morning, everybody. It is just after 11 a.m. Central Standard Time here on Friday, May 3rd, 2024, coming at you live from just north of Houston, Texas, a very, very waterlogged area. Fortunately, we're on higher ground here, but anybody that's lived in the Houston area knows there's a lot of low-lying areas and creeks and, lakes and everything else. And man, a lot of people are really feeling the flood out here. So hopefully they're doing better. I'm going to start raining a bit more again today, but we'll see how this goes. We're good here, though. Today, in just a minute here, I'm going to bring up, we've got Gary Cardone. He was kind enough to join in, even though that busy man is out there doing the races out there in Miami. So the F1 out there. But he's going to give us some time here. We're going to talk about a few things, guys. Hey, listen, real quick, make sure that you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, follow wherever you're coming at. Remember, we live stream here. We live stream to X, formerly Twitter there, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So follow us all through there. I've got Gary's his link down below. You can follow him on Twitter at Twitter or x.com/Gary Cardone. Make sure you guys are following him. If not, a lot of Bitcoin information coming from him. By the way, he's also going to be in Nashville for the Bitcoin conference there this summer. So if you guys are going to that, or if you're not, make sure you go and you'll see him speaking over there. Real quick here, guys. The NFP dropped this morning, non-farm payrolls report. Came in a lot lower than expected. They were looking for around 240,000 jobs to be added. Came in 175,000. We'll see how this gets revised, in the next couple of months. But it went down, and what happened to markets? Markets went up, right? Charts went up. It's throwing a lot of people off. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later as well. But again, remember, guys, I always tell you, news events don't dictate trends. Trends are already established. News events just happen to be these things that happen along the way. So again, we will talk more about that later. But for right now, let's add Mr. Gary Cardone here on stage. How are you doing, Gary?
Good, man. Good to be with you. And I'm a little drier than you are, I think.
Yeah, probably a bit. I mean, that's not an always thing. I mean, Houston gets hurricanes sometimes, but you're over there in Florida, so I think more often than not, you're probably wetter than we are out here. So
that's true. That's true.
But anyway, so if you guys haven't been following Gary, man steps up. He's putting his money where his mouth is. As he constantly tells you, it's not financial advice, but it's his trip that he's taking down Bitcoin, down this road with Bitcoin. And he's sharing it with y'all as he goes along, giving your thoughts along the way. The unique thing that you guys get here that you're not really going to get is that he is at a certain level of wealth, right? And I think that's important to point out here because a lot of people that are in, on social media and whatnot, the retail traders are a lot further down, right? And so we get in there with your own mindset, right? I always talk about how people are, they view the world through the way in which they spend and view money. And so I think it's really great if y'all are following Gary because you get to see I always talk to you about it's the larger money that actually, directs where Bitcoin's going, right? It's the thing that goes. Retail is fuel along the way, but it's that bigger money that kind of dictates what's going on. And if you can get to understand how those in other socioeconomic statuses are, above you are, how they think about money, how they deploy it. I think it helps you a lot more, especially when we talk about Bitcoin, right? What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, I think understanding the mindset of maybe larger money is really valuable, especially now in Bitcoin cycle of finally getting past this ETF thing. I'm so glad, dude. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about ETF and halving. I thought I was going to just go mad every 3 hours having to review the ETF flows. Quite frankly, I'm not even looking at the ETF flows anymore. I don't care about them. Bitcoin is down to one narrative and only one narrative: supply and demand. And supply and demand doesn't all happen on one day. I mean, look what happened yesterday. You had $6,000 washout. I added 8.8% to my stack. Okay, now think about what I'm saying. I didn't say how much money I deployed. I added 8% to my stack, man. I'm just stacking up Bitcoin, okay, like you would gold when it was 35 bucks.
Yeah.
And if we're right about this, I had dinner last night with a really smart Russian person, and she was like, "Wow, how can you be so convicted?" And I'm like, "Well, how can I not be?" And by the way, where else am I going to deploy, a couple of $100,000? Where am I going to deploy that? In real estate? Right now? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a real estate expert. I guess I could give it to my brother. But I just think that once you look at this really systematically and you think in a time frame of 4 to 8 years, what I hear on Twitter a lot though is it's not a 4-year scenario, man. If you're worried about the price dropping $5,000, you're in it short term. You have too much on, or your time frame is really messed up. You didn't tell your wife that you got this much Bitcoin and you told her it was going to turn around. Well, I think, you laughed at it. I think this happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where the day trader, he doesn't really tell the wifey what he's doing. And then he gets overextended and then somebody says, "Hey, what's the price?" So yeah, and for me, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, Chris, is share my journey of someone that knew nothing about Bitcoin, has like every business I've ever gone into, if it had one component that I could understand and it was based on supply and demand, like I'm in. I am in. And this is going to be that, like, there's no chance that I'm wrong unless all the lights go out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my risk, right? The lights go out. And that's a really bad world.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree 100% with that. And those of you that don't know, Gary's not just this guy that just like, "Oh, I've got this money, I'm just going to put it in here." Gary just said there, it's about the supply and demand. And anytime there's that, he's interested, because Gary, if you guys don't know, actually comes from that background. His first life, I guess you could say, was in energy, natural gas, and making markets. And so if there's anybody that really understands truly what supply and demand means. I know a lot of you guys, you come on here, and you talk economics, textbook economics and stuff like that. And, we all like to do that. But to actually live it, to go through it, and to get that real world understanding, right? There's always a difference, and a difference in your understanding when you read something, the theory, and when you're actually involved in it. And especially with Gary here, so deeply involved in it for so long. So, I think, when Gary's talking about supply and demand, I think that's really something that you need to pay attention to. So we get here and, Gary's been very open about his buying. He's bought a few times as we've come down from the all-time high, and looking to buy, if it drops further. And so, but, again, as Gary's pointing out, his time frame is what I believe it should be if you're in Bitcoin. Again, guys, I talk about this all the time. If you're trading, that's fine. I trade, but I have Bitcoin that I don't touch. And even if I were to trade Bitcoin, it would be with other money, right? I've always got Bitcoin. I'm always adding to that. And I think, again, guys, if you're in here and you're trading, I think that's one of the best things you can do, because you're going to make some mistakes along the way with trading. Nothing guarantees that you're going to be a trader 10, 20, 30, 50 years down the road. But if we're right in what we're talking about as far as Bitcoin goes and where it's headed and the possibilities, having that bag of Bitcoin there that you continue to add into, I think ends up just being like your safety net. It's the thing that, even if you screw it up as a trader, because the odds are you will time and time again along the way, take it from somebody who's been doing this for almost 30 years. Okay. You're going to screw up. But that will be there and consistently be pushing that, that higher level, and kind of just being there for you. So with that in mind, excuse me, sorry about that. With that in mind there, Gary, so when you're looking at Bitcoin and you're talking to people, because you're out there, you're paving pounding the pavement basically. For anybody to listen, especially the much, the higher net worth, ultra high net worth individuals, how is it that you approach them? That's, well, yeah. So how do you approach them when you're talking to them and you're trying to say, listen, this is a great asset class. There's absolutely no reason you shouldn't have some exposure to it. How do you approach them? What do you suggest as what they should be putting in percentage wise? How do you go about that?
Yeah, well, look, you're talking about the guy, your traders, and like I look at this as an opportunity to because we talked about real estate a little bit. Imagine having a real estate complex that every month it has these swings in it, and somewhere between 8 and 20%. And I've learned enough now that when it hits 74 on the high, I'm like, hey, if we have another 20 to 23% retracement, which seems very common, and I learned that from you guys. This is why I come on these shows. I come here to learn.
Yeah.
I come here to learn what the whole industry thinks as a unit, because they're mostly wrong. As a herd, the herd is normally wrong. That's been my experience.
Yep.
And just to see the psychology of people getting all, hey, I need to go follow tuner coins or whatever kind of coins. And what type of personality is saying that? I am creating generational wealth here for my children. Okay. My children are going to have a very large problem if I'm right. Okay. They're going to have to figure out how not to get on drugs and have a shitload of money and be a productive member of society.
Yeah.
But imagine if you and I could buy apartment buildings in any state we wanted, just grab pieces of it when we want it on 20% retracements. That doesn't happen, man. Okay. The other thing is I went to dinner for 3.5 hours last night. If I look a little tired, it's probably because I stayed up too late or didn't stay up late enough. And had a lovely dinner. Look, dude, I turned my telephone off. Like, turn it off. I don't put it on silent. I turn the fucking thing off. I'm not looking at stock prices or charts. Like, I'm literally having a really cool evening and I'm focused on what I'm doing. This is a tremendous opportunity to be able to own Bitcoin and not have to worry about things, especially with my time horizon. And here we do. We wake up. I went to bed last night at 57,000 and this morning it's 61.
Yep.
So I don't really get that excited about the 61s either. Okay. That move up doesn't excite me. The move down doesn't excite me. It only excites me in the terms of, I need to go find some more fiat to burn into Bitcoin. I think I'm the smartest Bitcoin miner in the history of mankind. Just buy Bitcoin, dude. Burn the damn fiat up as soon as you can and buy Bitcoin. So, how do I do it? How do I talk to these wealthy people? First up, it is not my job to bring them in.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to tell Billy Bob, hey, you should come in. When they ask me what I do for a living, and then they see the passion and my background, and hey, look, I've almost diverted all my energy other than Node 40. Everything I'm doing around media is for Bitcoin. It's not really for me to have a media presence. It's actually to help. I've seen so many uneducated people in these spaces, man. It felt like I would be irresponsible not to plug my voice in here and go, hey, look, man, this is the way I look at it. I think other people are going to look at it this way. I am the next generation of Bitcoin. And the Roger Veers, there are going to be so many more Roger Ver stories here. Okay. I think a lot of people played really loose with the rules in the first 15 years. Okay. I think probably every piece of Bitcoin's been touched with some problem. Okay. And the DOJ is saying, hey, we're coming. They're going to clean the space up. I'm actually starting to build a scenario that the people like Roger Ver that had 150,000 Bitcoin at probably $10, they did not value Bitcoin correctly. And I guarantee you they didn't. Okay. You know why? because he's in a shitload of trouble right now that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Unnecessary. All he had to do was document everything that had happened. Now there's going to be a big court case over, well, what would have happened if he'd have dumped 100,000? I mean, they're going to argue over what the delta is. Dude, his life, why do you want to have a life like that? Like, it's not necessary. So my point is, me buying here at 50, 60, my average cost is $40,838. And it's going up, by the way. My average cost will continue to go up. Okay. I'm not done. And if you're sitting there going, oh gosh, I have a weighted average cost of $7,000. And can you still hear me? Sorry.
We can hear you. We just lost you there though.
Yeah. Sorry. I played with these things and it's messed everything up. But you know, I look at $50,000 and go, okay, this is an institutional buyer coming in here. I know what their time frames are. Okay. Their time frame, they are not going to look at reallocations. People telling you that they're going to buy $2.5 million worth of Bitcoin and then look at it in 6 months and reallocate because it's now 8%, or they're not going to do that for years. They'll allocate it later, dude.
Yeah.
Right. They'll look at a reallocation later when it gets, the theory is, hey, it's going to get so big that they'll have to reallocate. I think that is BS because this is their first entry into Bitcoin. So, you know, the way I talk to them about it is exactly the example I just used, which is, hey, wouldn't you like to buy one door in an apartment building or 10, but you don't want to buy the whole apartment building? Well, Gary, real estate doesn't generate cash flow. Yeah, I know it does, but it goes up 45% a year too. And quite frankly, I don't want the cash flow because when I get cash flow, I have to pay ordinary gains on that, short-term or long-term gains, right? So this is my big bitch about people playing in the tokens, because if you're paying your taxes, if you're paying your taxes and you're listening to some guy in South Africa tell you about runes or some coin, dude, he has no tax exposure. You have a 42% tax exposure. For me, it's just easier to leave in the fucking Bitcoin and go make some money, go do something else. Look, and I think the way to do it is, hey, where are you allocated now, sir? Oh, you have enough bonds. You have equities. You have it. Oh, you're still looking for a super equity, right? How would you like to buy NVIDIA 15 years ago, sir? Let me show you NVIDIA and Bitcoin. Then they start correlating this information, right? So, but my job isn't to get them into Bitcoin. I don't care how long it takes my brother to get into Bitcoin. I hope it takes a long time, okay? Because he will represent a part of that herd. Yeah. Yeah. And there's nobody in this. I saw some kid make an say there was a 2% allocation in the world, and there's zero out. It's in the zero. It's less than 1% allocation. Yeah. Okay. For sure, it's a less than 1% allocation. So we're still in the early stages, and I'll just end here. Okay. I hate being early. Hate being early. You guys that think you need to be first, I know a lot of people that went broke being first. Okay. I love being 5th, 6th, 7th after a mark. To me, it's 61,000 today with everything we know. We know the DOJ is coming after the bad guys. I think there's going to be more tax issues here, and that could create a sell-off of Bitcoin from some of these whales. So it's either going to happen through that. We are going to get these coins released in the market at some point. It's either through price or through other means. And I don't think they're trying to do it that way. I think they're just trying to clean the space up. So I think everyone's max allocated real estate, pensions, equities, bonds, and this is a safe haven event. And at 15 years into its journey, it's probably safer here today than it was 8 years ago. For sure, 8 years ago. Yeah. $800, it's a better investment thesis.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't get that. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because, a lot of people are coming into space. Again, when I came over to crypto in January of 2017, I was coming out of I was spending all my time in Forex at the time. and I'd been in other markets of futures and, and legacy and all that, stocks. But, what I noticed a lot about crypto was that it was the same type of person, generally speaking, that was coming into Forex. And so what I mean by that is Forex was the land of the degenerates prior to crypto, for those that don't know. Forex gives you a lot of leverage. You can buy, you can sell easily, short and long, all these things. So it was where everybody was. And then you get to crypto, and crypto is like all of a sudden like 100 times that now as far as degenerates go. But when they come in, they're just looking at the price. They're just looking at, okay, what money can I make here or there? But the point that Gary's bringing up that I think was so great is that when you look at the industry itself, now that you're starting to get more of this government regulation in there, because regulation, what that means is now you have guidelines. Now the bigger money, especially, can look at it and go, okay, well, first of all, it's getting to the point where it's getting big enough, maybe 100 grand, where they go, okay, well, now I'm interested. But then also they go, okay, but, prior to any government regulation, they're like, what happens if this happens? What do we do here? And then a lot of these money managers and types like that, guys, they have, fiduciary responsibilities. And so you need that regulatory guidance. As somebody I've been talking about the last few years, the last bull market coming in, about how they needed that before they were going to come in. So, the point that I think that you guys really need to kind of pay attention to here is, as much as we like to hate the government, as much as we like to hate on Gary Gensler and all of them, at the end of the day, regulation, whatever it is, creates consistency. It creates structure. And with consistency and structure, you can then, especially when you have a lot of money to allocate, you can then much easier, you have a much easier way of doing it because you don't have to worry about all those other things. So I think that's a great point to bring up there. I know you've got to go here in a minute, but let me ask you. So we're sitting here now at just about to hit 62,000, it looks like. I know you had said you had some bids lower, but then you pulled them because you had filled so much right there coming in and you wanted to wait to see some structure here. Do you have levels you're looking at now above you that you're interested in maybe buying, or are you waiting for it to pull back again, some, similar maybe to now before you start allocating again? How do you approach that?
Yeah. So since the last time we spoke, I did say that, but I reset when I actually talked. See, it's good for me to talk to people, whether I'm talking online. My story's the same, whether I'm talking, this by now, because we've talked enough privately. Like I'm as consistent as it gets. So I actually filled everything I wanted to. I had moved a bunch of cash in there, and I have $42, man. I think I filled everything in the 50s. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I really couldn't believe it. And people were talking about 45. I'm like, dude, I don't know how this thing gets to 45. I hope it does. See, this is why I know that I'm into a really great trade here. I want this to go down. Okay. Like, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you should ask Chris. Really go into that risk management piece with Chris, because when you're into a great investment, man, and it's really got a duration, think about a piece of land that you can buy. Okay. And you keep being able to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more acres, adding 1 or 2% to that parcel. One day your children are going to be living on a monster parcel of land that's all consolidated and it's valued. And there's only 21 million acres. Yeah. There's only 21 million acres. It never floods. It never decays. There's no tax man to grab anything. You can't run a road through it. It can't get a government sanction where, hey, we're taking this piece of land, we need to build an airport. Oh, by the way, there are absolutely no logistical issues with this piece of land. You can just move it around with you all over the world.
Yeah.
Gosh, man, I don't have to spray insecticide on it. A bomb can't drop on it. There's just so many, there's no poachers. All I have to do is decide, is it going to be on an exchange, in an ETF, or cold storage? And I think the answer has to be yes to all three of those.
Yeah.
To me, that is the right answer. Hey, let's get exposure to all those methods of having Bitcoin. And then when I'm bleeding, dude, when I'm bleeding with all this acreage, I can go look at buying some piece of shit of a piece of land that might quadruple in 3 days because there's some idiot that just saw me buy it. And so he wants me to take it out, right? And it's just that simple. And then I get to go back to work, Chris, and do something that's more meaningful than me buying Bitcoin. Okay. And it may be me doing this kind of work to help educate. Maybe I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid for this. Not like Bitcoin's giving me an affiliate fee every time somebody does a click. So I really commend you for what you're doing, trying to teach these guys the difference between trading and investing. They are really, really, really different, right? Yeah. And it's all about duration. And so thank you for having me. I hope that helped. And I wish you guys a great weekend, man.
Man, I really appreciate you being able to jump in last minute like this. I know, like I said, I know you're over there in Miami for F1 there.
Well, buddy, I've done these before alone, and they're not fun doing alone. So when I saw you post, I don't have a guest today. I'm like, shit, I can make 30 minutes for Chris. Let's do it. So happy to help, man.
But definitely appreciate it. Listen, guys, follow Gary Cardone there on X, so x.com/Gary Cardone. Also, like I said, Gary's going to be speaking at what is the Bitcoin conference in this summer in Nashville?
Man, I have no idea when.
Can't remember what it's called.
I'm at Consensus F1. I'm in the family office thing. That's who I'm with right now. I'm not with Bitcoiners. I'm with family offices. You know, big accounting, tax firms, and investment firms. So Griffin's here. Everybody's here right now, throwing off all their money.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll be in Bitcoin Nashville. That'll be fun. You're gonna go, right?
I didn't.
Oh, come on.
I didn't have it planned out. But I saw that you were going to be there, and I know Fibbo's going to be there. So I'm going to try and make my ability to head over there. I just stay so stupid busy with the Trading Academy right now. But yeah, if there's any way I can make it out there, I'm definitely going to be out there. But hey, guys, listen. If you're out there, be sure you stop, say hi to Gary. If you see him out there, make sure you listen to him. He's going to be speaking. And like I said, Fibbo's going to be out there as well. So you guys can see him. But as always, appreciate you, Gary. Thank you so much. Guys, listen, we've got spaces on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern on X. So make sure you guys join in with there if you can. And, of course, Gary, you can check him out on YouTube, youtube.com/Gary Cardone as well. Lots of other shows and information there. Going to hit you from all sides, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Have a great weekend, man.
Ciao, man.
All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Man, really always enjoy speaking with Gary. He's a great guy. Just a great guy to know. It's so easy. I can still think back to when I first started out, right? I didn't start out with the success I have today, guys. Everything I've built, I've had to build myself, right? My dad was just, spent a career in the Navy. I moved around all over the world growing up. And, so everything I've built, I've had to learn along the way myself, right? And luckily I've had mentors along the way and people like Gary who, have been able to get me out of my mindset of my current socioeconomic status to understand how I can move up, how I can do more. And so, that's why I love having Gary. I love doing shows with him because you guys, I don't know if you really understand just how much you can get from it if you pay attention. But if you can get out of your mindset and the way you're looking at the world, the way you're looking at your day-to-day life, the way you're looking at your money right now with what you're used to, with what the people around you do, and you can start understanding how people that are a bit more well off are doing and how they've gotten there and the way that they look at it, it's going to change your entire life. It's really going to set you guys up. All right. So need more cowbell. Jose says, that's right, man. Need more cowbell. Love that reference. All right, guys. Hey, listen, let's go ahead and jump in some charts here. Let me kind of pull us over here. Let me see. There we go. How pretty is that? How pretty is that, guys? Look at that. So we've got Bitcoin here now doing what, when we were creating this this range here, right? And I talked about, okay, well, there's some possibilities the way we could look at it because it's just overlap, right? It's just a range. But ultimately, I said, listen, that's what I kept telling you guys. It's just a range until we break down, break down and follow through, or break out and follow through. It's just a range, right? But what did I say? I said, here's what I thought would happen. I said, if we got a breakdown through the range low, through that 59,000 area, depending on what chart you're looking at, it's this swing low over here. I said, what I expected was a move down, followed by a move back up, printing a spring to get us back up, right? And this is the same thing that I said over here, if you guys might remember. As a matter of fact, over here, let me get these pivots back in here. Look, remember over here, everybody said, oh my God. If you guys remember, it was pretty much like it's been up here. They were up here saying, oh my God, it's got to go down to 30,000 or 15,000 or 12,000, all those things they were saying, right? And what I tell you guys, I said, no, I said, what I think is going to probably likely to happen is we're just going to get a spring here, because I was looking at the price action and volume here in the range. I said, we get a spring here right around the S1 pivot on the daily, and then we go up. That's exactly what happened. And so here we are again. I said the same thing, except we didn't have the S1 pivot at the time, right? This thing just came up a couple of days ago. But nonetheless, I said, we're going to have a dip down here, testing this ascending channel resistance as support. Should go back up. I mean, this is what we going. This is what we've got going here, guys. Okay. So if you're still scared and you're not in yet and you're waiting and all this fun stuff, our next on this daily time frame, okay, we want to see an impulsive breakout around here. This is the mid range of this range here, right? The EQ. It's the daily pivot. It's the descending channel resistance. If we can get an impulsive breakout and close above that, which means a spike of volume relative to the volume around it, and a biggish candle spread coming through that, the odds are that the bottom is in and we're going to head up to new all-time highs. Bit Electronic 407 says, is there a chance it goes back down one more time before spinning up for the run according to the chart? Anything's possible, okay? And I'm not here to predict. I just, I forecast. If you guys don't know, there's a difference between predicting and forecasting. Forecasting is based on data and things that you know, versus prediction, which is just, oh, my gut says whatever, right? But for me, until it does something different, my belief is this is the swing low here, that we're in the low here and we're going to break out and head up. If it were to break down, I would look and see, first of all, can we get support at the S1 pivot here? If not, my target, remember I said, if we didn't come back up like this, back when we were over here, when the range was built, and I was talking about, if we drop down, my first thought is what we got going on here. Or I said, if it closes down here and it doesn't, go back up there, then I was looking at the 51 to 52,000 area right here. So that would be what I would be looking at if it were to do that. Honestly, I don't think it's going to do that. But, you shouldn't be trading based on what somebody tells you that they think or don't think, right? That's why I give you guys so much information. I try and say, listen, if we're looking at it, this is what normally happens, right? We're talking about the range here. I discussed the fact that the volume in this range was really coming at the lows rather than the tops, which means, if this is distribution, you're going to generally expect to have a lot more volume at the top. The idea is that they're selling into retail, which is still trying to buy, looking for the breakout, okay? But if you'll notice up here, the volume up here is a lot less than what we see down here at the bottoms. So down at the bottoms, what's going on is you're getting demand. Demand is showing up, right? Additionally, all through the range here, generally speaking, when you have accumulation or reaccumulation, and again, this is generally speaking, this is not every single time guaranteed, but one of the first things I look for generally with volume is that volume drops off while the range is developing. If we get something like this, and then we pick up right here at the bottom, all of a sudden, we get this spike here at the volume, all of a sudden, then it looks more like a spring rather than, this being distribution and falling lower. So, when I get out there, people will be like, okay, well, you got lucky or, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I got lucky there. I got lucky here. I got lucky here. I got lucky here. And I got lucky here and here as well. Right? Because I've called every one of these that's happened, right? It's not luck. It's just an understanding of human psychology when it comes to markets and what's going on there. But, again, and that's why I teach what I teach, guys, at the Trading Academy, because it works, right? It works. Even if you're an investor, a longer term investor, right? And you've been holding on to something for, say, 10 years or something, and you're coming up to a macro top, and you're looking at a bear market for a couple of years, and you're like, hey, listen, I'd like to lock this in. I mean, you need to be able to figure that stuff out, right? So the things I teach can be used on everything from the 5-minute time frame to the monthly time frame, yearly time frame. But more importantly, I don't just teach you the tools, guys. And this, I think, is what a lot of y'all miss. You go out there and you're like, well, who's the cheapest? Where can I get my education at the cheapest, right? The problem with that is, well, would you rather spend cheap and have to keep buying and have to keep doing that? Or would you rather spend a bit more and be a lot more likely that that's all you have to do, right? So what I do is I teach you guys how and why markets actually move the way they do. I don't just teach you, here's the tool. If it does this, do this. You're not monkeys. You can do more. And the more you understand about what's going on that's making those things happen, right? Why are these things actually happening? What is going on? The more you understand about that, the more successful you're going to be as traders, okay? And that's why I spend so much time talking about it, whether it's here, doing this live for you guys, or whether it's in the Trading Academy with our group coaching or our C3 students in there. Oh, by the way, we had so much rain yesterday and the internet was out for a bit. So I got bored and I went ahead and gave you guys a discount. It'll be good through this weekend. Get $1,000 off our 6-month or our 12-month group coaching. May Rain 2024 is the code. It'll be below the video here, but check that out if you want to learn all this, guys. I'm telling you, it's like Michael Johnson saying here, it's not about luck. It's about taking higher probability trades and managing your risks so that the losses are less than your gains. It's exactly what it's about, right? It's not, yeah, exactly. It's not systematic luck, right? But people want to say that because they don't understand, right? I mean, how many people were telling you guys that have been just screaming their heads off since up here that it's the end of the world and we're going way back down here to 30,000? You got to understand how these things happen and then to understand the steps involved. So that way you're not, listen, if you are like myself when it comes to Bitcoin and like Gary, and you've got a longer time frame preference, understanding what's going on here, that this is just a range, means, guess what? I am not even thinking about, so why would I even think about selling? You don't sell just because there's a high, especially here in the US. As Gary pointed out, taxes, guys. I don't think a lot of y'all, if you're in the US, thinking about the tax hits that you take. They're so crazy. But there's a lot of tax to pay here if you've been holding for less than a year. You have to pay long-term capital gains. It's huge. It's stupid. So how much money you have to pay for that? Okay. So, when you're trading and when you're investing, you have to understand everything's involved. It's not just the trade or the investment at the time. You have to understand tax implications. You have to understand markets, what's going on there, so you can maximize what you're doing. Okay. But, I hope if you sold up here that, that you've figured out how to get back in, or that you don't wait until you break out a new all-time highs before you get in again. Because if that's the point, if you sold here and you're waiting to break out above that to go long again, what did you do? You just gave yourself extra, especially here in the US, right? You just increased your taxes if you're holding less than a year. That's all you did. And now you got to hold another year at least just to get the shorter term capital gains on your new position. Doesn't make any sense, right? Tom is asking, what is the volume indicator on the side called? Yeah, VRVP. It's the visible range right here. All this tells you, these volume bars down here tell you how much volume, how much buying and selling is going on in the time frame. So since this is daily, each one of these candles is a day, and this is how much volume was transacted in the day on this chart, okay? This tells you how much volume was transacted at this price level, whatever the price level is there, for the time frame on the chart. So this whole time frame on here, you can see down here at 42,993 and 92 cents, that was how much volume transacted there. So it just helps you understand where the market is really interested on that. Does that make sense? All right. So enough of me being lucky. So yeah, I'm looking again, putting this simple, guys. What you're looking for is impulsive breakout and close above this area right here, this 64,000 area here. That's what you're looking for. Okay. Once you get that, that's going to increase the odds significantly that the bottom's in, and we're going to break out higher. Real quick here, if you just want an easy target, based off this here, about 87,000 would be the target. But again, when we look at the weekly, look at the weekly candles, guys. Jeez, always look at this. Look at this. This is demand. See these big wicks down here at the bottom? This is significant demand, okay? Again, I've told you this before. We have this move in sideways between the pivot and the R1. We didn't drop to the pivot. Instead, we moved impulsively up through halfway, almost into R3. When you get this price action, I'm telling you guys right now, most likely this thing is going to break through the R5. So 117,000 at least is what we should be looking for as you get up there. Now, I think we'll probably head up higher than that. You guys know I've got those bigger targets. But for right now, look at that 86, 87,000 area and 117,000 up here. This is all we've done. We broke out, came back, retested, ascending channel resistance as support, looking to break out and head up again. Weekly Stochastic RSI is reset down and over. RSI is sitting just below overbought here, right around the previous support area, resistance area right here. It's such a clean chart, guys. This is so clean. I can't think of anything better to look at right now. It's just really nice. It's a real good kind of move here. Can I explain how the target of 86,000 is calculated? Yeah. I just base it off the height of the correction here. Based off the height of the correction. 1618. Right there. But it's off the retracement tool, not the extension tool. Okay, guys? So you have to get your retracement tool. You got to click on your 1.618 and then measure out, from the swing low here to the swing high. And I'll get you that target there. Dude, I teach stuff you guys don't even know, man. I teach stuff like that, tricks like that, all week long, every week in the Trading Academy. Not just, Elliott Wave and, Wyckoff and proper risk management, all those things you need to know, and market psychology and all that. But, man, all this price action stuff, teach that as well. So you can come in, and if you're willing to listen and you're willing to learn, and then you have to put in the effort to do it, it's going to change your life as a trader. It's going to. You can't come in and learn what I'm teaching you and honest to goodness apply it consistently, be disciplined about it, focus and do it and practice it, right? You can't do all that and not come off, exponentially better than you are right now. People come in and they usually learn more in the first month with us than they've learned in the last few years trying to trade on their own. Everybody wants to do it on their own. Everybody wants to learn on their own. Here's the real truth, guys. I wanted to learn on my own too, right? I didn't learn it on my own. It was when I opened up and started bringing in mentors and coaches and courses and learning and applying myself, because they can't do it for you, right? You have to do it yourself. But that is when I had the change. It was only at that point did I start becoming consistently profitable. Some people can do it on their own. Very few. How do we know? Because 90% of traders are out of the market within 3 years, having lost it all, not have made any money in 3 years, and often adding more money along the way, trying to do it on their own. That's how we know. So you guys got to keep these things in mind, right? It would be great if we could learn to do it all on our own, but wouldn't it be better? Even if you learn to do it on your own, it's going to take you a lot longer and it's going to cost you a lot more money in losses. Wouldn't you rather spend a little money to lose a lot less and learn a lot quicker so you can make money a lot quicker? I mean, it seems like it's easy to think about, right? But most people don't think that way, right? So, yeah. Unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But do what you got to do. If you think you can do it on your own, the only thing I would say is keep following me, guys. You'll pick up stuff if you're listening. It'll take you a lot longer than everything I teach, obviously, you know, at the Academy, but you're going to pick up stuff that'll help you out along the way if you pay attention. So here we go with Ethereum. Again, locally, we've got a range here from April 13th. We just printed a spring here below it, as you can see. Nice, zoom in here a bit. You guys probably can't really see this. Almost a hammer candle right here. The spring below. And look what happens. Look at the big volume on the spring here. And the next time it pulls back, look at less than half the volume. Absolutely fantastic. That's what you want to see. Supply is done selling here. Should have been, if you weren't long on this candle, you should have been long on this one. Because we're above the channel EQ here, let me kind of pull this up here. We're going to have an initial target here of the top of the range at the daily pivot. And we'll be looking to target the channel resistance. If we can get impulsive breakout above all that kind of stuff, we should be able to break out ahead higher. Breaking out above wave B here at 37.26 and 79 cents. Is going to add confidence to this count and tell us that wave 5 is in progress. Wave 5 of 3 up here. Target of 51.85. Okay. So that's what we're looking for. I don't think it's going to break down. If it does break down, I'd look for initial target, the S1 pivot, bottom of the range here. Or I mean, bottom of the descending channel. Okay. I don't think it's going to do it. If it does, that's where I'd look. But if you can get the impulsive breakout through here, you know, that'll signal, okay, it's probably done. Breaking out through wave B here, we'll say, okay, it is done. And we're heading up above 5,100, regardless of what everybody's little opinions say out there, their emotional takes and all that funny stuff, right? Today, as I mentioned earlier, we had a big miss on jobs. Everything should have tanked, right? What happened? Bitcoin up, stocks up, right? Why? Because the trend is already established. The trend is already starting from down here. You've already had the big move down. You had all the, I mean, how long is this, guys? To finally break down is 57 days. 57 days basically of selling, right? And you think it's going to keep going down, right? But it did. It grabbed the move up. And so it was already going up. So now you have the numbers come out. But guess what? The trend is already up. So we continue going up, right? Coinbase blew away expectations with their earnings report, right? But it was down right away, you know, pretty much right after there, like 3% down in after hours. Why? Well, it had already rallied 9% that day. It already rallied 9%. You need a pullback. It can't just keep going up forever, right? You got to have pullbacks along the way. Same thing here. Been up and up and up and up. Needed a pullback. Now we're ready to go up some more now. Or it does appear that we are, right? Dollar, the DXY. So this is dollar futures. The DXY itself has a lower high here. It's just slightly lower. Dollar futures, you can see, has a higher high. but we got a impulsive breakdown through the pivot down into the S1. We're trying to catch and rally back upward. We filled in a lot of this fair value gap here. Just missed this a little bit lower bit down here. But what are we watching for here? All we're looking for is, does it get rejected, you know, somewhere between here and the pivot and come back down? If it does, we can look and go, this is probably the top here. And we're going to come down, break down through 100 probably. But in terms of this, what do we need? Well, we need a breakdown below this swing low here at around 100.3 on the futures chart, the DXY futures chart here, dollar futures chart. It's right around that same area for the DXY, pretty close to that. But if you get down through that, then you should be looking for down below the 99 area over here. Okay. If instead it breaks out higher, that means it's probably going to break out above the swing high here. And that means, as I've been explaining, that means what we probably have is 3 is actually here. And then 4 is A, B, C, D, E is a triangle. And then 5 of 1 is here. And that would give us A, B, probably be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a little bit higher up here. 61.8 retracement at about 108.5, 70.5 at 109.94, 78.6 at 111.24. Those would be my targets if we broke out above wave 2 there. But again, I believe that this is the top for a while. And it's, of course, you know, that was the top that I mentioned back when we were, back when we were down here. And we're looking for a target. And I said it was the 114 to 115 area, and that's where we got. So far, so good. We'll see if we get that continue in the current count here, or if we do some move up and then come down. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking at with it. Doge, guys, Doge. Look at Doge. Look at how big this is. This right here, this range. 619, 620 days. Almost 2 years, right? That's a lot of accumulation. So we've got our jump across the creek here. Spike of volumes, large candle spread, right? Through the resistance here. Back at the edge of the creek. This is kind of similar to what we saw on Bitcoin. Over here. We had the jump across the creek into the back of the edge of the creek, which just happened to touch twice here. That's basically what we're looking at right here. Rally back up. I'm looking for an impulsive breakout above this red line to be the first real kind of clue that, other than this dip below here, this, by the way, this right here, this hammer candle right here, printing right below the swing low. So this was back on March 20th. This was right here on May 1st. That's a bullish SFP, swing failure pattern. We should look to head up higher. Impulsive breakout above the descending red resistance says this is probably complete. Further impulsive breakout above the pivot here on the daily says, yeah, it is likely complete. So this says probably, this says likely. Breaking out through the swing high here. Because to me, it looks like A, B, C isn't any diagonal here. So it looks like a flat, which means wave B is the swing high at 22 cents, almost 23 cents. Pray about that's going to confirm it, and that gives us a minimum expected wave. Well, wave circle 3 there based on 1 and 2. You know, 1, 2 here has a target of 35.5 cents. As you can see, the target based on the height here gets us right around that same area. So 35.5 cents is what I'm looking for. Let's see here. S&P E-minis. Here we go. Again, you know, terrible jobs numbers popping up through impulsively through the descending wedge resistance and the daily pivot here. So that suggests that the bottom is probably in. Breakout above 52.85 is going to add confidence to that, and that gives us a 55.77.5 initial target. Okay. Saul is looking good at this weekly demand structure here. We tapped it here, kind of pulled back, got close to it. EQ of this kind of range going here. Pin bar candle. Pin bar candle right on the descending channel EQ and the weekly demand structure EQ. So pin bar on support. Here we go, trying to break out. Impulsive breakout right here above the, descending channel resistance. And it's basically the daily pivot here. This is 3-day. Is this the same as the daily? Let me see. Yeah, okay, 3-day just started. Yeah. So this daily pivot here, about 149 and some change, $150. Impulsive breakout through that should indicate that the bottom is in. And still looking at least to get up here. This is the R5 weekly pivot, $410. I still think that's a pretty easy target. So we'll look for that minimally. Let me see here. Are the group coachings live? If yes, how do people from other time zones? Yes, they're live. We do have people from all over the world with us, everywhere from Canada to South America, Mexico to Japan, Australia, New Zealand, UK. I mean, just everywhere. I can't even think of everybody. And so what happens is, if they can make the live, then they make the live. If they can't, all the lives are recorded. Yeah, we got somebody from Germany as well. Yeah. If they can't, the lives are recorded. And so you can watch them. Even if you watch them live, you can go back and watch them as many times as you want. And you can ask questions. Just like during the live, you can ask questions. You can ask questions in that as well. We do them at, just real quick here, for those of you that are curious of when they are, we do Wyckoff on Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. We do price action on Wednesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Thursdays, we do Elliott Wave, again, from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, they are live during those times. But if you can't make them, some of our people can't. And then they just watch them when they get a chance, when they're able to. Sometimes people are just busy anyway, And so, yeah, Chris even lets the Canadians in. But yeah, yeah, that's kind of the way we do that. Mav here telling you guys, you can get as much or more from the community beyond the live streams. 100%. My goal, the way I do this, guys, listen, my goal is to get as many people understanding markets and how they move and how to trade them effectively as they can. And the great thing about that is we've built this community, and many of our members have been with us for years and years and years. And just if you're new and you're coming in, it's like, it's not even just me. You're going to learn from all of them as well. And it's such a huge thing, because then what we have is we have a whole bunch of people with their eyes on all the different markets telling each other, look, I think I see this trade here. I think I see this trade here. And it really helps everybody out, because now you don't have to spend all day, every day hoping to find a trade. You can look and you can find some, but also others in the group are finding them as well. So it's pretty great. So anyway, Saul looking good here where we're at, just looking for that impulsive breakout here and ultimately rallying up at least to 410. Though I think we'd probably see it go larger, overall at the end of the day. Let's see here. Gold getting the pullback here, right into the big candles. So right now, this is the weekly. I'm kind of looking at a few different ways to count this. It is possible this could be one wave up and it could pull back down toward this 2020 to 2085 range area. But I'm not convinced it is yet. If we can get a rally from where we're at, we're going to look closer around 2540 or so. We've had a good, we came in kind of sideways here, bounced off the pivot. We have some good impulsive movement up through into the R3 and back, which really has me, leaning toward this likelihood that we're going to see this rally all the way up here through the R5 on the weekly toward $3,053. Right now, we want to see this break up above 24.33 and 30 cents here. We want to see that breakout above that. That locks that in as 3 waves as corrective, and then we minimally, let me see here. Make sure the target's right. I may need to move it a little bit. Yeah, it's 25.56.20 now, because we got a bit more on that pullback. So if we can break out above that right there at 24.33.30, we should be looking minimally around 25.56.20. Ultimately, I think we rally up through the R5 up toward at least $3,053. But if we do continue to pull back here, I wouldn't be surprised to see it come down to this 2020 to 2085, 2090 kind of area. And then that would just mean we're going to have a bigger rally coming out of it. So yeah. Let me see here. Phil says, Christopher, you've been making videos since at least 2018. If I remember right, your advice is outstanding. Thanks. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. You know, I started this in the 2018. I believe I was right. Yeah. Around February, I think, of 2018. And the only reason, you guys are going to love this if you haven't heard this before, the only reason I ever started doing videos was because Scott Melker said, dude, you need to do videos. That was it. That was the only reason why, guys. I started doing videos, and like a month or two later, he's like, dude, you need to put your face out there. Because the first set of videos I was doing, we didn't have the video up here, right? We just had the charts. We don't have those anymore, unfortunately, because those of you that were with me a few years back, you'll remember that midstream, when I was doing them like twice a day, every day, midstream on, I think it was a Friday or something, YouTube cut off my account. That was when they're doing the crypto purges. And it took me like 5 months to get it back, which is why I simulcast everywhere now, because I didn't want that to happen again where we lost everything. So after that, I ended up going to Twitch, did that for a bit, and then I found out I could simulcast. I started simulcasting. And then one of our members actually at the time ran into somebody that worked at YouTube online, and they directed him to me. And he's like, yeah, what's going on? I said, this is what happened. It wasn't actually his department, but he went over there and did what he could and got my YouTube channel back. It's the only reason why I have a YouTube channel today now. But lost all those videos, thousands of hours, because I was doing 2-hour streams like twice a day. It was crazy back then. You remember the, thank you for streaming. I appreciate you showing up, man. Thank you for showing up. If you guys weren't showing up, there's no reason for me to do it, right? Jose says, yeah, I remember the only chart days. Trig, you found me watching Wolf of Wall Street. Scott, yeah, I appreciate you following in here. Crypto Facial, man, I love seeing you guys that have been here so long. It's crazy. Thank you for letting me know, seriously, because it's been such a long time, right? I mean, who would have thought? I started, speaking out publicly my second year of law school, and then started this company to kind of help teach what I knew. What was that? September of 2017. Yeah, 2017. And I graduated law school early. I graduated December of that year, and just haven't looked back. It's been a lot of growth for me to learn how to teach, to learn how to even talk to you guys. Really, it's not normal. So I appreciate you guys checking in. Seth says, it's funny you found me through Scott years ago as well. Hasta la vista, Barbie. Good to see you checking in. Let me see here. Monster. Let me see here. Monster. Not Monster. MicroStrategy. Monster. MSTR. Every time I say that, my first thought is Monster for some reason. I don't drink Monster. Ugh. Oh, let me see here. I already charted Ethereum, Bernardo. You have to scroll back, bud. It was the second one I looked at right after Bitcoin. Gave you the 5,185 target. All right, let's see what's going on with MicroStrategy here. It looks like we dipped a bit further. Let me see here. Okay, this looks like a WXY. So WXY instead of ABC here. X, A, B, C is Y. So looking good coming off the, what is this? This is the 4-hour. Let's jump to the daily here real quick. Yeah, so like a lot of things we're looking at right now, we're between the S1 and the daily pivot. So if we can get an impulsive breakout above that daily pivot right there around 1294.5 or so, impulsive breakout and close above it, that should indicate that wave 4 is complete. Breaking out above wave X here at 1578 and 37 cents. It's going to add confidence to this count. That gives us a minimum expected wave 5 of 3 target. It's going to be a little bit higher than what I've got there. Let's see. $3,052, about that area. But again, that would only be, according to my count here, wave 5 of 3. Zoom out a little bit more here on the weekly. Look at this beautiful move. You see what happened here? It moved in sideways. So if it moves in sideways and just rallies up, or if it tests the pivot and then rallies up impulsively, you see these big candles, big volume, that tells you you're going to go basically through the R5 at least. This is what I was trying to show you on the Bitcoin chart. Though it didn't come back to pivot, it was just starting off here and going impulsively through up, halfway up to the R3. But yeah, so I mean, weekly looks good. Looks like we're resetting down into oversold today. We're getting a volume spike here. Pin bar on support. R2 pivots the support. If we look, their previous all-time high was over here. Let's see here. Where was that? Right around $3,330. And if you guys remember back over here, I was talking about the fact that we should see it make a new all-time high. So if you were listening back then at $200-300 and you're still in, congratulations, guys. You know how to listen. It's an awesome trade, but looking for that breakout to send us higher there again. Looking up there, and so you get a 4 on the pullback, and then you get a 5 printing that new all-time high overall with that. I called that R5 last time. Yep. What made me want to go into law school? So I'm just one of those people that loves learning, and so I'm pretty smart. It is what it is. But even though I am, and I had this idea of how law and justice and these things worked in the US, I wanted to understand it from actually getting in there, right? It's kind of like what I was talking about with Gary, right? A lot of times you guys, you'll read theory, on your own, you read theory and you go, oh, okay, and you do it. But there's a difference between actually reading theory and actually doing it, right? So for me, it was to actually get into law school and go through the way that law school is done. I had 2 master's degrees before that. I thought, law school is going to be nothing. So much different. It is so different to go to law school than it is to get your graduate degree. I'm telling you. Just so many different things about law schools, right? And so you go into law school, and when you're graded on a curve. So the thing about that is you could be making 90+% on a test, right? But depending on how many people the professor allocates to A's, B's, C's, or whatever, right? Let's say they're giving out 3 A's and you got a 94 and somebody got a 94.5, a 96, and a 97. Guess what? Your 94 is a B. So, just different things like that to experience all that really was why I did it. I wanted to get an understanding of how is law actually really applied. Because, we all read law. We all read the laws and we go, well, that clearly means this. And then it gets the judge rules another way. And you're like, how the hell are you ruling another way? It clearly means this. But you learn all that in law school, right? You learn how to approach law. You learn how judges actually look at the law and how they look at your case. And how the way in which you present your case determines how they're going to look at it. And so, yeah, really, really different. It's a really different way of looking at what we take for granted when we haven't been to law school, as far as what laws are and how the government works and all that. So that's why I did. That's why I did. It was just for me. My master's degree is just for me. All my degrees just for me, guys. I don't want you thinking, oh, you have to have all this to be able to trade. No, God, no. Matter of fact, a lot of times, the more education you have, the more difficult it's going to be for you to trade because you overthink it, right? You start thinking of all these other crazy scenarios and all these other possibilities. Trading, simplify it. The more you can simplify it and in your investing, the better off you're going to be. Okay, guys? So yeah. Let me see here. Hey, Andrew, what's up, man? He says, too many meetings this morning. I'm sure the stream's going well. Yeah, you missed Gary, man. Gary Cardone was on. He jumped in from his hotel room in Miami. It's good to have friends, man, So he was busy doing his stuff with family offices, F1 and all that kind of stuff. And he still made time to jump on here with me, which was really nice. Let me see here. GBTC. Oh, man, I have not looked at GTC in forever. What we got here? What do we have? Oh, that's right. It's because it's an ETF now. Oh, gosh. What is the symbol for GBTC now? Oh. Here we go. Get you with the cool orange and blue colors. So this is the weekly on this. Let me see here. Man, look at that. That's interesting. Well, not really. I mean, it's just following with Bitcoin, right? How crazy is that, guys? All the selling off on GBTC, it is basically Bitcoin, right? I mean, it looks like it's printing a low here with this weekly candle. Nice little doji, little pin bar. Filled in most of this fair value gap here on the weekly. Let me see here. Let me see. I don't think that's swing high. I think the green is the swing high there. 64.01, 64.35. Yeah. So, I mean, this looks like an ABC. So it looks like ABC, ABC, and then potentially ABC. Here's could be a WXY. I'll zoom into the daily now. Or it could be, again, ABC, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here as a flat. Yeah. So basically it's Bitcoin, basically, right? I mean, that's all it is. You got the same range here, right? And so what you're looking for, impulsive breakout above the pivot here, right around 56.40 or so, 56.50. That should indicate that the bottom's probably in, and then you want to break out above this 64.35 here to add confidence to this. Target, quick, easy target, $77.40. It's based on that. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at right now. But again, it's just like Bitcoin, right? So we're looking for that breakout through, it would be the descending resistance pivot right there. It's what we're looking for. On the daily, we've got a lot of room. So, I mean, we got a lot of room with Stochh RSI and RSI. We just crossed bullishly and broke out of Stochh RSI. We're getting about neutral. We're just now breaking out bullishly on RSI right around neutral. So wouldn't be surprised to start seeing inflows. And it doesn't even have to happen with GBTC, but I just mean overall with the ETFs. And as price continues rallying up here. So yeah. Yep. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. GBTC. If you hate GBTC, you probably don't like to hear that. But yeah, look at that go. Anyway, okay, guys, listen, I'm going to get out of here. What is the pivot indicator? Oh, man, I'd love to tell you. Yeah, so if you're using TradingView, go up here to indicators, type in pivot point standard. That's all it is. It's right here. You don't have to go in here and in the pivots here, you don't have to go in here and change it from anything else. I just use traditional. You don't have to change it in the other ones. When you do that, it shows up on every time frame for the specifically that time frame. So the pivots that show up on your daily, they change every month. Okay, they're your monthly pivots. I call them daily pivots because they're on the daily time frame. But they change every month. On your hourly, they change every week. Okay. On your 15-minute, they change every day. On your weekly or monthly, they change every year. Okay. The only thing you'd have, yeah, Michael's bringing up a good point here. When you first do this, they're going to have these, all previous ones. They're going to have like 100 of them. Just double click on it to bring up the setup. Number of pivots back. I just leave it on one, the current one. But you'll just change that. And then they might have the show prices and show labels on there. If you don't want the show prices on there, I never keep that on there. I just keep the labels for you guys, really. But then you can keep them on there. So that'll be the only thing you'd have to change if you're doing that, okay? Let's see. Thank you for sharing knowledge. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, okay? I really appreciate y'all being here, as always. Again, guys, I want you to be a part of what we do at TWC because I believe that is the absolute best, most comprehensive educational content you can find anywhere, teaching you not just how to trade, but why markets move the way they do. You're going to learn more about yourself at TWC than anything else. And the best thing about that is it's going to make you a better person. It's going to make you a better trader. And those same things that you learn in trading are applicable to the rest of your life. And you'll notice that you'll start applying them to the rest of your life. And you'll start getting those things out of life that you want, right? You have these goals, or you have these ideas, these dreams. You can take the things that you're learning here with us with trading. Believe it or not, you're going to learn these things because we spend a lot of time on the mental and the emotional side of it. And you're going to be able to apply them to the rest of your life. Your relationships will get better. Your job will get better. If you have a business, that'll get better. If you have a hobby, that'll get better. Because it's the same process that you use in every other area of your life. And you can't do it in one area and not do it in another. Okay? So anyway, yeah, you're seeing people say triple tops. I know. People are crazy like that. But anyway, guys, hey, listen, as always, remember the only thing you control is how much you lose. So please keep working on that risk management. Like I said, guys, if you want to join us, links are below. If you're really serious, if you honestly are serious about being a better trader and you really want to learn it and you want to be able to do this for 5 years, 10 years, 50 years down the road, join the group coaching. You get $1,000 off on the 6-month or the 12-month, because we also have a 3-month. But the 6-month or 12-month, I've got a code there, May Rain 2024. It's listed below. It'll get you $1,000 off it, and just come in ready to just soak it all up, guys. And then you'll meet amazing people like Data and Andrew and Michael and Sats and Soren and so many great people that are in there, doing their thing, learning as well, and helping each other out. I just really don't think there's a better place to be a part of. But hey, you guys have an amazing weekend. Trade safe. Remember, the only thing you control is how much you lose. That's it. Once you figure that out, the rest of it's just rinse and repeat, right? All right, y'all take care. We'll see you next week.